Hey everybody, welcome to the Dutchman's Woodcheck. It's tool maintenance time. Okay, so what I'm doing here is tool maintenance. Now, I have this belt sander I've been using. I haven't used it in a while. I just using it on what I was working on earlier. But here's the problem I want to show you. Okay, so this is why I always tell people you should clean it out right away. All right, getting all this stuff out of here, um, it gets packed up inside here. You have to take and get some tools and clean it out a little bit. Um, but here's because I'm in a basement. What happens is I get a lot of this. I don't know if you can see this or not, but right in here, even though there's a filter on it, it's caked, totally caked. See, and what that does, look at the filter, right? So here's what I tell people. All right, because I'm in a humid environment, this gets clogged up. What you should do is clean your. If you're like me in a basement all the time, or someplace really humid, clean your tools out more often. Um, they work better. They last longer. My belt sander. This actually happens to be a newer one, but I have my old ones up here. They work like a top. Why am I not using it? Because they're heavier than sand. It's basically a collector's item now. But anyway, and hang on a second. I'm gonna clean this out a little bit. Okay, so I was reading this article about shops and explosions, dust explosions. So I'm a little I'm a little paranoid now. So yesterday, I basically took a wood to it, but I didn't wash it off. That's it. I have this little thing here, this device I can hook up to my vacuum cleaner, okay? Which is kind of cool. So using it like right here. Oh yeah. Like this, you can suck it up with dust. See? So wait a minute, you can't see. I have okay, so now this is kind of cool because you can actually just look it. And then this stuff here, the filter, you can actually, but see this filter's pretty shot, that can do it. See how it's caked in there, right? Look at that. You know, it's kind of like your air filter in your furnace, or your air conditioner. But here's the thing, okay? With these filters, because they're paper, a lot of them are really kind of a mess. Doesn't take much for them to clog up, especially when there's a lot of moisture in the air. So I have a, see that? Okay, so now you can put this back in, and it's all clean. You can wash it if you want. You can, I think you can wash this filter too if you want to. Where's the top? But here's the problem. I tell this to people all the time with the tool maintenance stuff. I'm a big buff of tools. I have not bought a brand new tool in quite a while because everything, I mean, everything I have works. Why do I need to buy a new tool? Just because I buy a new tool? Okay, so same thing goes with this, all right? What I like to do with my tools is air out the motor, all right? But what I usually do is I go through this with a fine-tooth comb, air it out. A lot of times I'll do this out in the garage, but I just want to show you. And it runs. Now, the biggest things that I can tell you with tools, especially with what I use, they're going to create a lot of dust, a lot of noise, a lot of chips. This thing here has a tendency to put out a lot of dirt and a lot of dust. That's why I have this. Now bring this down. It doesn't get on my desk. But here's the thing. It's the fine dust, you guys. It's the fine dust. So that's why, like I should have been wearing my my respirator just now. The fine dust is what you want to be aware of. Fine dust is what you want to be afraid of because that can cause an explosion. So, doesn't get any. Well, if you feel free to chat, guys. Not getting anything. Anyway, I just thought I'd do a short video because I'm cleaning out tools. I was going to show you something else too. See, same thing goes with these. Your sanders, especially your pond sanders. All right. Same idea. Pretty dirty. Pretty dirty in there. So that's why I use, and you can hook this up to your sanders, by the way. So. So here's the other thing. All right, so we're talking about tools here. All right, so this is pretty simple. This is detailed sander. I use it all the time. It's one of my favorite sanders. All right, but here's the thing. This one has a pad on it. A Velcro pad. All right, you see it now. It's doing pretty good. Keep an eye on it. But the biggest problem I have with these is trying to get parts. Now I'm fortunate that I bought a bunch when I bought the sander, the sander pad, the sander pads. I bought the backup for this. So the Velcro, if it goes bad, I got a backup for that. But that's the part that wears out first. And it's always going to be this part. Now, whether it's Craftsman, Milwaukee, DeWalt, Ryobi, Mastercraft, Cobalt, whatever. One thing in common with these things is you've got a motor in here, and it's running. When you if you use it like me a lot, the first thing that's actually going to burn out is going to be the bearings in it. If it burns out, right? You can find bearings for these, by the way, but in that case, that's the motor part, the working part. This part is probably going to probably wear out before anything else. It's getting this and taking care of this piece, this pad, that's going to make a world of difference. This thing will last me. I'll be dead and gone, and it'll still be around. Then my wife has to worry about getting rid of it. Anyway, same thing goes with this. I always tell people you can hook, if you get it right, you can hook up your sander to that, to the vacuum, and then it will help you, instead of using this, it will help you a little bit more with the the after effect. There's still sawdust on the project I was working on. If you look at it, there's still sawdust on there. But that's okay because at least it cuts down a little bit. So, but as far as tool maintenance, if you're doing finish work, it's always good to have a good handle on your tools. See, now again, I was telling you about the after effect, right? See, this is what happens when the moisture around here does that to you. Okay, so that's just the way it is. I could pound on this. Now, what's cool about this is I could actually take it off and wash it. So every once in a while, make it a point to get an irregular. See what I mean? See what I mean? So what you do is you get yourself a schedule and you start doing this. Every tool that I've got, that I've started out when I was woodworking, except for one, and this is probably going back in the 70s, 1970s, everyone works except for one, and that was because I dropped it off the top up here and it broke. So there was a palm sander though. But these things are really easy to get. And you can actually, like I said, sometimes if you've got a different hookup, you can put on here. But most of the time, when I'm sanding, I use that hose that goes in here off my 4-inch hose. And that's how I do this. This is an easy one. Okay, so this is a detail sander. Now, I showed you on my belt sander what I do. I actually take this out. And what I'll do is I'll blow through here too. And again, it talked about bearings and bushings and stuff. Every time you clean this off, take the air gun and do this. Now it's going to make it. See? See? And it actually keeps your Velcro good, keeps this glued. Am I going to do this right now? No. I was going to wash it, but I'm not going to do that right now. But anyway, it's a easy job to do with all your sanders. Now, it's just a detailed sander. I have another one. Now, this is the same thing, right? Except it doesn't have Velcro on it, and I suppose you could do that, but... Hey, Jacob, how you doing? Welcome. Well, this is a regular sander. A lot of people know, right? And it's the same thing, where it's a mess inside, too. But the difference between this one and that one is, this is a stick-em one. Basically, you take... And I have a roll of this stuff instead of the pads, but you take it and stick it on here. Now, if you don't get these and you want to get the ones from Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, whatever, Ace, you can do this. All right, where you put them in here, and then you hold them down, and but here's the problem. Okay, you're gonna waste part of whatever belt or whatever sandpaper you get because they're making them shorter. So it's actually you use a third more on something like these. So this is where I tell you people when you go out and get sandpaper, measure this, and I think this is like 4 inches from here to here. And then what happens is the sheets are 7.5. So anyway, this can be done twice in different ways. You could stick them, or you can put regular sandpaper in here without the stick them. Just you don't have to worry about that. The third way, I think, and I do recall saying this, you could buy a kit that goes on here that does the Velcro like this. Okay, so these three sanders that I've got here are pretty much the ones I use all the time, and they do take maintenance. I try to air out every single one of them, and it gets a little bit crazy in here with the sawdust and stuff, but um, they're great. They work perfect. Now, I have other ones that I use that are another stickum. They're smaller. It's a smaller, different kind of style sander. And that's another thing for my turning that I got to show you here. Okay, so these are from when you're using this turning. This is for the lathe. This one's kind of hung up a little bit. I have to take it apart and probably grease it or something because it's hanging up. But this one's got the Velcro on it. See, so this one's the same as this one when it comes to it. It's just smaller heads. But they have heads, the replacement heads for these and that, and these just pop off like that. And see, there's Velcro. Now, again, I do the same thing with this as I do with those. I air it out with arrow hose because they're whirly gigs. They need constant, a little bit of lubricant. I tend to use a garage door. When it got garage door lubrication is greaseless, so it works. Those are those. Those work out good. I love that. Okay, so another one is, if I can find it. Okay, another one is this. Now, again, this one's a stickum. All right, you have to take and peel them off, and you basically, this one's shot. I'll take it off. You have to order these. You can get them on Amazon. All right, they're not cheap. Again, it's a detail sander. This one vibrates a little bit more. It's a little bit rougher. I use this if I'm doing a chair or something and you go around the back part of it. I use this for doing real small detail work. And you got to be really light with this because it'll gouge it like a belt sander. But it comes with practice. That one there is good. I have an orbital sander too, an air one and a hand one. Now, I like using the orbital sander. It's the same as using the vibrator here, but and I've had pretty good luck with it. Sometimes you have to look at it, look at your project, and take a really good deep look at it. What I like to do is take and put water on it when I'm doing a bowl, if I'm using an orbital sander, because what will happen is you can see swirls. You can actually see swirls. Sometimes you have to do that. So then you revert to this or this. This one I like because I'll pull this off because I can get into smaller, tight corners with it. When you're doing bowls, a lot of times those there work better, and you have to use different techniques. I actually went to Hobby Lobby and got these round balls and put a stem in them so I can put them in a drill and use them because they'll. If I didn't do it that way, it would be kind of difficult to do it by hand to try and get up in the curves. I also have um, mittens that are 320 and 120, I think it is, grit that go on your drill press or your drill and get up in there. But I'm just going through my power tools right now. So anyway, as you can see, I've been a bad boy. I haven't cleaned these out in a while. This one I haven't used in a while, but when you plug this in, it vibrates a lot. But I'll tell you what, it's again, they get parts for this, the top. Always get extra stuff when you buy the sandpaper and stuff. You always buy extra pads so that you can replace that. Um, because you never know if they're going to discontinue stuff like this. So I can use Dremels, uh, but the problem with the Dremel is the RPMs on it isn't as high as this is. Okay, so that's it for the sanders for right now that I've got that I can remember. Now this is a staple gun. Okay, so it's battery operated. You have to use one of these for that, right? Okay, but again, here's a couple of things I have to remind people of. When you have, whether it's this kind, airless staple, cordless staple gun, or an air gun, you have to lubricate these in here. This one here is kind of cool because I can take this off and clean off inside if I want. Just got to be careful. There's spring-loaded stuff in here. When you open it up, it might be. These are for really thick staples. Now, I got this in 2015. I was doing a demo show, 14, for Craftsman Tools. And they had these guns they were making projects with. I made a toolbox and I made my, I've got a camera box I made upstairs. It's awesome. It was one of the first things I made when I was doing demos. Anyway, if you see my Facebook page, I don't know if it's on YouTube page, but some of my still photos, you can see what I was making. This thing was worth its weight in gold. I went out and bought it. It was awesome, and I love using it. That I haven't used it a lot in the last year or two because I haven't been needing it. I've been using smaller staples for stuff. Um, so, but they have specific oil for this stuff. This and air guns, and I would highly recommend you do this once every so often. To keep this thing from sticking, keep the nails from sticking. And the batteries, that's the other thing. I'll just tell you right off the bat. I bought 2 more batteries for $35-40 online. Amazon has them. So this drill, this thing, and one other thing in there. It has. I have to use the same battery pack. All right. Which is a pain in the butt because honestly, you can never buy enough drills, batteries. So this is where I tell people again. This here is basically between my drills and the sanders, corded versus cordless. I prefer corded over cordless because of because I have to have now. I've got to get 6 batteries for 4 implements. Then corded, I don't have to worry about that. These things might go bad after a while. I'm not gonna be able to buy these. So then this part will be perfectly good, but then what do you do about the batteries? See, I've already had that with the DeWalt. I have a DeWalt that was like 20 years old. Can't use it anymore because they don't make the batteries. So there's nothing wrong with the power source. So when it comes to tools, this is why I say take care of your tools. Do what you got to do. If you have to stop more often to clean them, fine. I do the same thing with my lathe. I get the air hose down in there and clean it down. Every time I use that thing, every day I use it, I blow it out. I clean it up. I suck it because I don't want to have, it's an old lathe. Somebody said, "Why'd you buy a new one?" Why? I mean, why you want to just spend money? So, well, thanks for looking, Jacob. Appreciate it, buddy. Feel free to subscribe to me. I'm free. I'm not charging anybody anything, and I love uh, comments from you guys. So if you want to leave me a comment, that'd be great. I appreciate it. Any questions about tools? I'm the tool guy. Okay, so the hand tools, I got tools coming out of my ears out here. Half of them I don't even use anymore. But give me a buzz if you're looking for something, and I'll be able to help you. All right, buddy. You have a great day, and thanks for watching. For anybody else that's on the line that's going to stay here, I'll go through some other stuff here in a minute, but I got one other thing. Here's the other one. Okay, so now this one again, it's the same as this jigsaw is the same as anything else. A little bit of oil in here to make sure it works. This one's kind of cool. It's got a laser, plus you could change out the blades really easy. All you have to do is go like this. There you go. See, just like that. Pretty simple, right? And then you want to put it in again. There you go. And this one's corded too, or cordless too. My problem is I got to find a place to put them. Collects dust. You can adjust the depth on, by the way, on this thing here. My air guns are a little bit different with the adjustment on it, but still the same idea. I'm gonna go put these 2 things away. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, so now the air gun. All right, another thing. I'm gonna put these, by the way. I'm gonna put these across the way because I'm still working on them. Okay, the handy dandy is a combo air gun. Okay, so this is what that is. All right. Now, same thing. What you do here is you put a couple of drops down in here, and you put a couple of drops in here, and work it a couple of times. All right. Now, these take smaller staples, and it does hang up a little bit. So try to, if you can, oil some of this. Now, it may get a little oily on your hands. You want to make sure that you read the manual good. It tells you on there too on what to do. Um, the trigger on here is another one. There's also a safety trigger on here, by the way. So I'm trying to. Anyway, this there's a safety trigger in this, so you can't staple it. Just so you know. So that's what these buttons on it. It's a good thing for people who have kids around. You don't want to use shooting each other. Now I have a nailing gun, framing nailer that's big and heavy. I'll be selling that because I don't frame up stuff anymore. I've been using a lot of screws. When I used to do basements, like when I did this and I did that wall over there and that wall over here, I used it then. But um, I'm laughing about this because when I think about it, when I first started doing construction work, everything was with a hammer. There was no such thing as, at least the guy I work with trained me on not using any of the devices you see here, right? So, and I mean, I'm talking like 1970s. Well, I had wood shop and metal shop and auto shop like everybody else did. Um, and it was fun, but we never had half the stuff I got. So, and it's kind of a lazy man's way of doing stuff. So for you all that are looking at tools, um, if you want to be cheap, and here's another thing: if you're gonna make like cabinets, you want to do it cheap and easy, or I wouldn't say cheap, but easier. Get a CNC router because you could do your cabinet doors and you can do a whole bunch of stuff. All you do is put a program in it. But I don't call that woodworking though. See, I call it cheating. I said that you're not doing it because it takes a lot more. You have to know your joinery for one, and not everybody knows that. Even some of the old timers have forgotten how to do that. So and that's the thing about me doing just that lathe over there. I'm not doing that. I'm doing this now. So in the long run, I'm going to be doing stuff like this now. Like this was, I was, it turned out okay. It didn't turn out the way I wanted it, but because the lid's a little bit, and I can tighten that up with something. But I like making stuff like this, right? It's just and I think this is maple, but it was a simple box, nothing big. I didn't get real fancy like my friends did. Um, my friends, they get the fancy wood. I can't. I don't have anything here I can use that's thick enough for that. But yeah, and anybody's interested in this, um, let me know. Uh, I can arrange to send it to you. This one's just pine. Okay, so now here, this one here was nothing but a 4x4, and I was showing people how you can make boxes out of 4x4s. The only problem with this is it got pitted a little bit, and I couldn't do too much more in the way of sanding on it. I don't care. I mean, it was a fun little project to show people how to do this. And this was 3 2x4s. There was skids off a pallet, so I tend to train myself on stuff like this. Um, it's easy project to do. It's a little rough right now, so I have to take and buff it. But I've got about 4 coats of polyurethane on this. But I like it. It's something I can, fool around. I thought about doing this. I got enough meat in here. I could make this a mini birdhouse. All right. What I would do, since I drilled it out, I would screw here and here, or glue it, and then put a hole right there, and just put a eye screw here, and hang it. I don't know if I don't know if the birds would live in that or not. I should try that, maybe. I don't know. I just got through making a birdhouse, so there's one over there. I'm in the midst of trying to get my act together to build a table But I wanted to show you that how to do maintenance on this. But you want to get the oil that's meant for this. So, um, as far as the big tools, all right. Now, that's the table saw it's sitting on. Right now, it's sitting back in there. The problem with this table saw is I can't, the device that raises and lowers my blade, I can't do that right now because what happens, it hangs up. It's a screw. I forget what they call it. It's screwed cross threads like this. You would on like in a rear end of a car, and it's hanging up. But the maintenance on this, same thing. If you have a vacuum, this one doesn't have a vacuum system to it. I probably could put one to it, but my vacuum system, I'd have to be pulling and plugging. I had to figure out something like that. I've tried it before, and it didn't really work because it's such a big open space that it's just better just to leave the bag that's there because that's what's in there now is a bag. That works better. But again, this is portable, easy to get to. You can pull this off to get to change your blade. But I would suggest the same thing. Um, every so often, depending on how often you use it, take this apart, clean it, take the blade off. Um, blow the air through through the motor, and then suck it out with the vacuum. Clean it all out. It doesn't take much. The portable um, table saw is not a bad idea. If you have one that's not portable, then it's a different story. The same idea though, you still need to get in there and clean it out. A lot of people don't do that. So as far as this thing, pretty simple. There's a tube in the back of this where it sucks up through the back of it. When you cut, it sucks it up here. Unfortunately, I had a piece of wood fly back in here, jam in the back, and break the little suction piece in there. So I have to get another one. But same idea. You got a motor head in here. What I tend to do with this is vacuum it, blow it out, and then vacuum it. Same thing in all the way around here. And, if you can, try and wipe things off. If there's things that it says on your manual you need to oil every once in a while, do that. Big thing that I tell people no is the adjustment on these. Okay, so because it's got a deep, it goes back deep, right? So you can lock it right here. What you want to do with this is if you want to find out if your blade's straight, it's not bent, because sometimes you can bend them, depending on when it kicks back and stuff. You want to use stuff like this. Same thing goes with the table saw. You want to see if your blade is true. So what I usually do is I go up like this. Now I have a smaller one than this, so it goes in there. But the same idea is you basically would put that in there like that. And then you go down to see if it's straight. Now you can do that with a piece of wood too. You could cut the piece of wood and then see if it's straight on there. If it's not, then this thing here needs to be trued up a little bit more. Every once in a while, take the 6 screws off, clean this up in here. A lot of times what I tend to do myself, I cheat if I can get away with it. Take air hose and stick it in here and blow that all out. The only problem is it gets caught up in here. If you take this off, you can get a lot of the stuff that's stuck in the corner back here where the mechanisms are. And you know about blades, different kinds of blades. I'll go into that at another time. We'll do the saw blade for the table saw, the miter saw, and the radial arm saw, and everything else that I can think of, That'll be a blade heavy day. All right, so that's this one. Now this one here is a thickness planer. It's a joiner planer. All right, and everything in here, you can go in here. This goes up and down. Two things that need constant maintenance on it. One is these screw jacks in here need to be cleaned, kept clean as much as possible. And the other thing is the rollers in here. Now, if you do a lot of stuff with roll, like I do with finish, for instance, I do a lot of these wood flooring like this that has finish on it. It tends to slip sometimes. That's not good. So what you want to do with this is not make sure the thing's unplugged. All right, first off, then you could take this apart too if you had to. This is like the cover for those rollers. But what I tend to do is tend to either take some steel wool or some like 220 grit sandpaper and go over it a couple of times, just lightly enough to make a dent. In both. There's two of them, both front and back. Okay, so then when you go to do the maintenance on the blades, there's three blades that's on it's like a triangle type thing. You can flip the blades around. So they're really long and narrow. They're about maybe, I don't know, maybe 3/8 of an inch wide and they're 13 inches long. You can flip them the other way. The one thing I will tell you though, okay, is if you're doing stuff through here that has nails in it, make sure you get nails out of it, because the second it'll leave a nick in it, and then you'll have to ends up being more sanding on it. But same thing goes with vacuuming. Vacuum all the corners in here, make sure it's done. As far as the motor head, now there's a thing back here where the vacuum goes into. That chute needs to be cleaned out all the time when you use it. In fact, in the process of using it, if you're going to spend a couple hours doing planing with it, clean this out. Clean this out, stop halfway out and clean it because it gets clogged. Even though you're sucking it up, there's a little fine hole in here that it gets into, which is the only bad part about this planer. The hole where all this wood chips go, it's not big enough. So it does have a tendency to clog up every once in a while. So you got to be up on top of that. So this one is not, as far as maintenance, it's not bad. Oh yeah, just so you know, these yellow things here with the yellow and red, that's a safety switch. If you pull this out like that, nobody can turn it on. Even if it's plugged in, nobody can turn it on. All right. So if you've got kids around, I would pull those out and put them someplace safe. I'd get a couple backup for backup. That one here and that one here are the same plug, so it's pretty good. It works. That one's not. They're fairly well. I don't know if new. The scroll saw. Now the scroll saw is the same thing. All right. The scroll saw here. The only thing you have to worry about is this upper part. You make sure you clean it out, vacuum it good. I would take the air hose, especially up in these joints. There are areas where you need to take and oil it. This is just an air chute here when you're cutting. It's supposed to blow it all off in here. That's fine. Adjustment wise, this one here is actually got a lock on it. There's a post in here. This push on and push off. So like that. So if you want, again, it's got a post. You could put a lock on it to keep anybody from using it. I tend to unplug them all the time. So this saw here, it's pretty maintenance friendly. But here's the thing. It has adjustments on it. There's wheels in here. Okay, so there's these wheels that the blade tends to ride on one way or the other. Now this one I can see, this top one, it's riding over to the right a little bit, and I don't like that. And that's how they come off. So when that happens, this adjustment here, you can move the front wheel or the upper wheel in or out. Okay, so that's the idea with this. That's how you get this to cut right. When you're moving, or you can move it this way a little bit. I think I can do that a little bit. It's supposed to be in the center of the wheel. In the center of the wheel. All right. The bad part about this one sometimes is the belt has a tendency, it does have a tendency to come off, and I think it's because these wheels are getting worn. But again, same thing. You want to clean out all this sawdust. You want to make sure that everything is clean, and then you do whatever needs to be, um, oiled, oil it. And then this one here, it's not too bad as far as that. There's a little brush here that rubs up against this wheel to get it all clean. That's the drive wheel, and the belt. That's the other thing, the belt. Um, I haven't. This belt's original, so it's running okay. It doesn't seem to have a problem. I'd always get another belt to back up. The two things that I have an issue with, one is this right here. That's basically the device you need to take and oil the most. And pay attention to it, because what it does is you push down. If you push down hard enough, this will release the belt from here. You pull it off. Same thing goes there, and then what happens is you want to tighten it up, but sometimes, and you have to look at it when you turn. I take the belt off and turn it. If what happens is the pitch of the wheel in or out, and what happens is that pitch is off one way or the other, that belt won't stay on. Now that's not a fancy. That's a Craftsman one. It works fine. I don't have a big metal one like a Rockwell or something. And I thought about it, but this for what the stuff I do, that's fine. All right. And I know it is temperament. So it is temperament. The other thing is, now back here, I got a couple of things. Now there's this radial arm. All right. That's as old as I am. This one here, I could do belt sanding. I could do grinding. See what I do with this. All right, see, I can do grinding. And what I do a lot of times is I'll lower this down to here. I'll put this at an angle, and I'll use this for a sanding device to grind off of this. Works good. Same thing with the drum sander. The drum sander I could take and put down like this, and I could basically use the tabletop as and just go up against it from grinding something down. That works great. Have I used it to cut wood lately? No. Unfortunately, that's the miter saws of today made this obsolete. I thought about selling it. I don't think anybody would buy it. It's in great shape. There's nothing wrong with it. If I go back and true it to what it's supposed to be, the rollers are fine this way. When you put the armature back forward and true it to where it's cut and straight, it's perfect. But I just it's takes up about 5 feet, and this thing, excuse me, the thing with this is the same idea. You got motor here. What I tend to do is we do the same thing: suck it out, blow it out, suck it out again, wipe this all off. And the maintenance on this is pretty straightforward. It's kind of like the same as the miter saw. It's just that you have to put it this way, and you have to use the table on this a little bit differently than you do on that. Certain adjustments. The only problem I have with this table is that the back piece back here is broken, but that's not a big deal because it's just another piece of that particle board. It's a 1-inch particle board, and everybody's got it. So, but I use this a lot of times for. I don't know if I can do it. See, I'll take and go in, and then I can go down with it, and this could be a grinding wheel. Well, that's what this is for. Um, and I do have this for it. Suck it up, a helmet. And the guard is on there too. I still guard. Now I do have a booklet on this. It said you could put a dado blade on this if you want. I have cut plywood on this in half. If you get a 4 foot sheet widthwise, all you have to do is run this all out, take the center part out, and run it out. It's exactly 24 inches, and I used that before. I just have this piece all the way to the back. Worked great. Worked great. Okay, so this is multi-purpose. Is worth its weight in gold. But unfortunately, unless I'm doing something really big, it doesn't get used. Other than sometimes when I'm doing my bowls, I could polish on this. I've got the polishing stuff on here. That's another thing. In fact, the RPM on this I think is faster than the RPM on my drill press for polishing. So I don't know. The vacuum here. Okay, so this vacuum is pretty full, which is not good. All right. So this thing here is a pain in the butt to deal with. So what happens is when I take this off, usually I pull this whole thing out and put it the dead center in here. All right. And then when this filter comes off, guess what? The crap goes everywhere. I mean, it's over here, it's over there, it's on the floor. So usually what I do is I come in here and I've got to be in my grubbies because you'll get dust everywhere, including you. You'll look like the dust mite when you. Now here's the problem. Again, you got to be careful of explosions and electrical stuff in there. So that's why I unplugged this. And what I normally do is I'll pull that out, pull that out there, that bag out. And sometimes I'll put a bigger bag in there. Sometimes I'll just try and save what I've got. This one here I think has been on there for a while, so what I'll probably do is pull it off of this and get a new one. But I usually stick it in a trash can. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll take the trash can I've got here and put it in that and pull it up. Sometimes it's bigger than that, and then I have to deal with that. But as far as vacuum, I'll clean this all off really good. Blow it off with the air hose first. And then usually when I do this kind of work on this and I have to do maintenance on it, I turn my filter, you see it, my air purification system on, because man, it gets dusty. And then I leave at times. I do a little bit here and then I'll leave. Because it's a dust cloud. Literally, you can't see very well. And you got to be really careful, both for your lungs and just trying to keep everything to a minimum. That's the only thing bad about this vacuum. And it should be outside in a garage or something. But someday I think I'm going to build a room for it. And that could minimize some of the stuff, the dust that I'm going up. And the other thing I have to tell myself is don't go that full. And I guarantee you, if I take that lid off now, it's overflowing. I'll have crap everywhere. I have another hose hookup for it that goes here. I just haven't figured out how I'm going to do it yet. It may take and change the fittings in a different direction for where it's going because it's going side to side, and I'd like to go for it to go up and down. So as far as tool maintenance, that's probably the best I could do today for everything I've done. Drill press, same thing. The only thing I haven't talked about was that. That's pretty cut and dry. You basically have to take and open this up, clean it up a little bit. This lever here adjusts. I can tighten or loosen the belts inside. It's not a big deal, really. You can see they're a little bit loose. Actually, I should turn it on and see. Well, it works pretty good. Okay, so one thing I could tell you right now is I didn't do this earlier, but you can use belt grip on this. Now this will loosen up in time, so you might have a little slippage. But it's always good to have another belt that's whatever size this is. If your manual doesn't tell you, you can basically take this thing off. There should be a number on there. Um, this doesn't work. That's the only thing bad about this. And I don't know why it happened. It just quit working. But it used to be able to. It might just be the light bulb. I don't know. Other than that, it's a little bit of shop maintenance and tips. Just remember, everything in a shop is dangerous, even a screwdriver. And I can attest to that because I've put a screwdriver through my hand a couple times. But anyway, and if you guys want shop tips, you know where I'm at. Handy dandy shop tips. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go. I might come on later on. It was tool time this evening, but I decided not to do it then. I'm doing it now. And I might get lazy. So I'm going to let you guys go, and I'm going to go plug this in and charge it. Thanks again. Leave questions and comments. I'm always want them. If you feel like you want to be on the show, I'm looking for panel people. If you're interested, call me. Leave me a message on there. Also, if I'm making any kind of project and you see it and you like it, let me know, and I'll put it aside for you. Other than that, you guys have a great day. The weekend is coming up. Tomorrow is Freaky Far Out Friday. So have at it. I hope you guys have a safe weekend. It is a holiday weekend. So be careful. God bless and have a great day.